Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the inaugural webinar of No Limits to Hope, Transforming Learning for Better Future research project. No Limits to Hope initiative is a groundbreaking collaboration led by the Club of Rome, the Fifth Elements, and the WEEC network. This research project is significant as it marks the 45th anniversary of the pioneering No Limits to Learning report, released in 1979. Even today, that report continues to inspire educators, researchers, and students around the world, shaping the way we think about learning and its transformative potential. The primary goal of No Limits to Hope research project, which are excited to present today, is to shine a light on the pressing existential challenges facing our world. These include escalating conflict, climate change, biodiversity loss, growing social inequalities, and rising geopolitical tension. To face this threat, we must radically think how we teach, how we learn, and how to approach present and future generations. To develop tools to face our wartime challenges in the light of Anthropocene, the Club of Rome, the Fifth Element, and the WEEC network have launched the global initiative aiming to inspire educators, learners, and citizens to embrace a new shift learning. No Limits to Hope, Transforming Learning for Better Future. This paradigm seeks to address humanity, the most urgent challenges, fostering a shift in thinking and action. At the heart of the project, the idea is bridging the human gap between knowledge and action. This calls for a profound re-examination of humanity, quest for peace, meaning, purpose, and the purpose of a good life. By exploring innovative, collaborative learning and problem-solving methods, the project aspires to catalyze cultural transformation, facilitate transformative learning, and generate new knowledges. Our aim is to unlock the full potential of learning to drive positive change for both people and the planet. This will culminate in the release of a new report, No Limits to Hope, that will be presented in September 2026 at the 30th World Environmental Education Congress in Perth, Australia. It is my distinct honor today to present you the vision and the goals of this transformating initiative with Carlos Alvarez Perez, Secretary General of the Club of Rome, Mario Salomone, Secretary General WEEC Network, Nolita Tina Bunello, Club of Rome, and RAD. Today, we are going to discover the importance of No Limits to Hope, how to participate at the call for contribution, how to contribute in the research project. So now it's time to skip in the research. It's with great honor that I present Carlos Alvarez Pereira, Secretary General of the Club of Rome, who is a senior professional combined more than 30 years of experience in research and innovation, entrepreneurship and business management with a passion for complexity and transdisciplinarity. He is seeking on exploring cultural transformation required to cross the threshold toward equitable human well-being with a healthy biosphere. So, Carlos, thank you for joining us. Could you please tell us why we need No Limits to Hope, and what is our vision and how we can achieve? Thank you.
Thank you. Grazie, Maria Claudia. Could you get out of the presentation? I mean,
yes, sure.
Stop sharing because it's doing something
yes.
a bit strange. Okay, so thank you, everybody who is here. I see a lot of names that I know, but I also see, or I see even more names that I don't know, which is a very happy circumstance. So welcome, everybody. As said by Maria Claudia, I'm the Secretary General of the Club of Rome, and we are organizing this initiative of No Limits to Hope together with the World Environmental Education Congress. And I want to share with you why we are doing this. And to understand that, we have to do a little bit of history. Will not be long on that, but it's important to know that 7 years after the publication of the groundbreaking report, The Limits to Growth, which made the Club of Rome famous back in the 70s, we published another report titled No Limits to Learning. And of course, it's not a coincidence. The Limits to Growth, No Limits to Learning. No Limits to Learning was a sort of response to the problematic identified by the Club of Rome and by the authors of The Limits to Growth, and the response, shaping the response as an issue or the challenge of learning and liberating the potential for learning, liberating the potential of all humans, betting on the humanity and the capacity of all humans to engage individually, but particularly collectively in processes of learning. The subtitle of that book was Bridging the Human Gap of No Limits to Learning, Bridging the Human Gap. The human gap was defined by Aurelio Peccei, the founder of the Club of Rome, as the difference between our capacity to act and transform our environment, transform the conditions, our living conditions, and the distance between that capacity and our capacity to understand and deal with the consequences of our actions. And that book was bold in its vision about liberating the capacity to learn, about proposing new modes of learning, which the book was proposing, ways of learning that could be participatory, anticipatory, innovative, and integrative. It was, of course, building on decades, maybe more than decades, but decades of innovation, of reconsidering what is learning and what is education from the lens of other pedagogies than the conventional ones. And it really was a call, to engage in addressing collectively the issues for humanity. 45 years later, what happened? Many things, some very positive, others maybe not so much. And one of them is that we cannot say this vision of No Limits to Learning has been accomplished in its goals, which is addressing the challenges for humanity. The challenges are, unfortunately, we are in unfolding the scenario, the central scenario of the limits to growth, the scenario leading to collapse of modern societies. This is still where we are. So there is a sense of failure, but there is also a sense of excitement. And this is why we are doing this work to say humanity is not doomed. Critical situation like the one we are living in, and there are plenty of dimensions for this criticality, is also a situation where the space of possibilities is opening. Many of the opportunities which come out from that criticality are not good. We don't want to go into them. And you can see these unfolding of the negative options, but it's also the moment in which we can make sense of where we are and what the future could be in more positive ways. And this sense making I found is absolutely critical. So this initiative is trying to respond to that. And it's even more required now than just 1 year ago when we started discussing with Mario Salomone and the World Environmental Education Congress about creating this project. So what we want to highlight, and Mario and my colleagues will give more information about that, is to highlight or to build our perspective on a few assumptions. One, unleashing, developing, liberating the full potential of humans to bridge that human gap, to really be engaged in learning and learning by themselves, collectively and individually, the responses to the existential challenges. This is one hypothesis, one assumption, big assumption, betting on the capacity and the humanity of everybody to liberate their potential to learn by themselves. Second is that life, one thing which has changed in the last 45 years is that we have developed very much our understanding of how life works and how living beings work and learn and how ecosystems learn and change. We are using learning as an equivalent to changing, to adapting yourself to new conditions. And we have realized many more things that we didn't know, or science, inspired by science, which interestingly is sort of rediscovering knowledge that was already there in traditional sources, in originary cultures. So we are reconnecting, we are weaving together modern sciences and originary cultures to understand better how life works and how we change. And with among many other things, the conclusion that we only learn in mutuality. So all learning is mutual. And then how could we use in our societal arrangements, in how we conceive education and learning processes in general, what we have been learning about how living beings and ecosystems can learn and change in this process of transformation. And last but not least, and I will finish with that, what we want to look at, and this is the core of this research that we are initiating, is what could happen in the future based on what is already happening, based on we are not inventing or reinventing learning. We want to build on what already exists. And many of you, if not all, are already involved in sometimes experiments, but on other occasions, long-standing realities of learning in other ways, learning in participatory, integrative, innovative, and anticipatory ways. And we want to highlight that, to highlight what exists, to connect what exists, and to try to say, hey, there is already a momentum for what we need. Let's try to make those realities, those cases of learning, of liberating the potential of humans for learning, let's try those many different cases which are contextual, happen in different contexts. What if we make them resonate and create something, a vibration, which could really create a momentum of the scale that we need to address the challenges of humanity. And I stop here. Mario, it's to you to continue. Again, many thanks for all participants.
Thank you.
I see that we have already over 100 participants, so welcome and thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Carlos. Thank you all participants for joining us. So now I will give the floor to Mario Salomone, the Secretary General of WEEC Network, the World Environmental Education Congress. Mario Salomone is an environmental sociologist, former university professor at the University of Bergamo, Milan, and Milano Bicocca, and also Turin. He's also a journalist, author and co-authorship of handbooks and papers, book chapter, and so. So Mario, now the floor is yours. I would like to ask you, why is it so essential to move toward transformative learning, and what No Limits to Hope can mean for contributors? Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Maria Claudia. It is essential because humanity, as Carlos just said, is at a tipping point, possibly an epochal transition from the Anthropocene to a new territory. However, people often learn non-transformative things. Learning should be not have limits because it is free from material and physical boundaries, and it is crucial for our shared destiny. But very often, there are limits that we want to investigate. There are no limitations, including a lack of funds for school, university, insufficient classroom facilities, textbooks, poverty, hunger, political crisis, violence, among others. In addition, there are limitations of freedom, ideologies, and propaganda. The impact of climate change, nationalism, wars, budget cuts, natural disasters, social inequalities, environmental and economic injustices, and transformative learning isn't an issue we will explore. But perhaps first and foremost, there are cultural, scientific, methodological limits, as well as outdated, erroneous, dominant paradigms. There are last limits. These limits, there aren't disconnected from the previous. Instead, they are the other side of the earlier. Consequently, many people learn to compete, search for success, conform to dominant point of view, and even submit themselves to voluntary slavery, or worse, they learn to hate and succumb to fanaticism. On the contrary, we need, as my friend David Orr puts it, peacemaker, healers, restorers, storytellers, and the lovers of all forms of life on earth. The earth is our common home, we know. Above all, we need people of moral courage and competencies that we can build a world that is habitable and human. This is the transformative learning, a learning that enables the development of transformative capacity. We must adopt a transformative approach to education. This task is urgent, prior, and absolutely necessary. For contributors, as Maria Claudia asked me, No Limits to Hope initiative means joining a crucial campaign of debates, publication, webinars, meetings on the challenges facing education organization. Additionally, all civil society is involved and interested in this educational challenge. We need a new social contract for education, as UNESCO has stated. It means fighting for reconnection of disciplines in interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary ways, reconnecting education and learning with their genuine transformative mission and socially fair. There is all reconnected humanity with nature, its law, respecting planetary boundaries, complexity, system thinking, interconnectedness are keywords of our initiative. It means enhancing a worldwide community of people. We have committed to engaging themselves according to their context, culture, local country constraints, transforming minds, and provide intellectual and emotional tools to billions of people worldwide. Teachers, researchers, practitioners, public institutions, NGOs, and all non-profit organizations engaged in the hope of a better future can be protagonists, thanks, no limits to hope, of a great deserving cause. Thank you.
Thank you, Mario, for joining us, for your speech. Now it's time to invite Nolita Tina Vunello from the Club of Rome. Thank you for joining us. And so, Nolita, can you give us some very practical information about how to contribute in No Limits to what people can do and how they can join us? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maria Claudia, and thank you so much to everyone who has joined this webinar. So in this portion of the discussion, as Maria Claudia said, I'm just going to share my screen briefly so that I can share some information and also some frequently asked questions that people have, that contributors have already started bringing in with regards to the project. Because after this, then we will get into a discussion about any questions or insights that everyone can submit in the Q&A section. So I encourage everyone to please send their questions in there, and Maria Claudia will moderate that session. But without too much preamble, I am going to share my screen, just to, again, go over some of the specifics, the timeline, and information that anyone would like to know if they want to contribute to the No Limits to Hope project. So as everyone has said, No Limits to Hope is a global initiative that was launched by the Club of Rome's platform, The Fifth Element, and the WEEC network to inspire educators, learners, and citizens alike to pursue a global shift in learning paradigms to address humanity's most pressing challenges. All in all, we invite researchers, educators, and practitioners who have explored new learning paradigms and the ability to foster systemic transformation to submit research proposals, papers, and case studies to be included in the report. Our timeline is as follows, and I would invite everyone to pay attention because we've made a few changes to the dates as we've been getting many requests from potential contributors saying that they would like a little bit more time. So an abstract of 250 to 300 words that is describing your project, your research, or your initiative. That deadline is now 17 April 2025. So the day before Good Friday for Western countries at least. Then we will have a period where we will be notifying people who have submitted the 250 to 300 words, those that we are interested or would like to learn more from or about their work. That notification period will be around the 15th of May, 2025. After that, we will invite people to submit a longer contribution. Depending on the medium that a contributor has chosen, this could be a case study or in the form of an article or potentially an interview if it is a group of participants who are working together. And this will be done before 30 June 2025. Then we will enter into a review period where we're going to be looking at all the information that's available as we also start to then draft what the longer and full report will look like. Contributors may be asked to submit further information if our researchers, our team, and also our collective peer reviewers have any additional questions or would like any additional evidence to be submitted. And then approximately at the 30th of November 2025, then there will be a notification of inclusion in the manuscript and how we will go about doing that. Then the information will be shared. I also you will see that there's a QR code here for anyone who would like to access the frequently asked questions page. What the team has done is collected many of the questions that potential contributors have been submitting into the hope@weecnetwork.org email. And I've highlighted 4 questions that came up the most frequently. So firstly, why an abstract? The abstract has a double aim. First, it is helpful for the worldwide debate on learning challenges to bridge the human gap. So the abstract helps us get a full context of some of the work that is available, or at least represented in the partners and community that we have represented in this call and in other communications. We are then organizing meetings and events and will publish comments and opinions on the project's website. Secondly, it is a preliminary step before the full paper that will include, if accepted, that will include the papers, if accepted through a peer review process, in a book that is a supplement to the final report. Another very popular FAQ was, what does No Limits to Hope want? Is it research? Is it theoretical papers? Is it case studies or other things? And our response is all approaches are accepted. The main goal is to help us develop the project's crucial issues and address the challenge of transformative learning. So instructions about contribution apply to all texts with some amendments if necessary. For example, all contributions will need a methodology, references, questions, conclusions, etc. Another FAQ was, is No Limits to Hope interested in specific education fields? For example, outdoor, nature-based, climate, childhood, human rights, media, etc. And our response is, it depends. The main thing is to demonstrate that your work contributes to a new idea of learning, cultural change, and a transformative approach, and innovative educational processes. The relevance to the project's objectives and the intended audiences for the project, potential impact on educational practices, policy, originality, innovation, and the potential to inspire action and change for various audiences, as well as to clarify the coherence of your thoughts, are all within the evaluation criteria. And one of the last very popular FAQs, but I will reiterate, this QR code has a longer list of other questions. If your question is not already represented here, I would encourage you to just scan that and have a look. Alternately, I will also post the link in the chat to the FAQs, but also again, please also post your questions in the Q&A, because the last half of our session today will be discussing some of these questions and topics. So is No Limits to Hope a conference? No, it is a broader program managed by the Fifth Element Initiative of the Club of Rome and the World Environmental Education Congress. A final report will be presented at the 13th WEEC Congress in Perth. The No Limits to Hope program includes events, meetings, and debates on the web, position papers, among other things. And this is a strategy that is in development that we would like to work with contributors on and partners. So all in all, it is an invitation on catalyzing a global movement. This call for contributors is the first step in mobilizing international collaboration in education for better futures. So we've organized it roughly into 3 tracks. The first is research, so learning from and with contributors and others about the key issues that are in the No Limits to Hope concept note and perhaps beyond for a full report and a book. The second track is on mobilizing partners. So those who are interested in working with us to inspire, who can add insights, mobilize practitioners, and inspire impactful initiatives. And the third track is on events. So bringing together like minds to, one, to further mobilize partners, but to contemplate on the broader topics at hand. These will be hosted by the No Limits to Hope team and partners around the core themes. So if you are interested in partnering for a track or giving input at that, please also email at thehope@weecnetwork.org. Thank you so much. I'll hand over back to you, Maria Claudia.
Thank you, Nolita, for this very practical information that you give to us. I thank you for all the attendees from this webinar. I can see there are some message on the chat and also some question. I hope I would like to answer Montassar Jacquin and also John Jimou. I hope that Nolita has been answered to some of your questions. So I would like just to share my screen to visualize the call for abstract and the call for a contribution. So please just okay, so here if you screen this QR code, you can see the call for contribution. So in which you will find all information regarding the project, the short brochure that Nolita has mentioned, and the full concept note with the scientific parts of the call. So we warmly advise to send us an abstract, as Nolita has been mentioned, visit our website and email us for joining this important project. So now it's time for a question, please. Okay, and I can see that Anita asking, are you interested in general transformational learning or transformation within fields such as ecology or marine science? There is any speaker that would like to answer to Anitra?
Sorry, could you repeat the question, Maria Claudia?
Yes, sure. Anitra say, are you interested in general transformational learning or transformation within fields such as ecology or marine science?
We are interested in the, as said, in the full development of learning capacities to address humanity's challenges. So this goes first comment, learning and education are not the same thing. Learning is supposed to happen in education. Some people would even question that, but learning is the process by which we change. You know, we can change. So it's a process. In a way, it's learning does not happen only in educational institutions. So of course, this implies as well lifelong learning and all modes of learning. So we want to connect the reflections on how learning happens with the reflections on how do we address the existential challenges of humanity. This is what we want to do. We want to cross the two dimensions because, believe it or not, you know, the attempts at addressing the big challenges like climate change, biodiversity, social inequalities, etc., have often not been based on a deeper reflection on how people, societies can learn and change. So we want to be in that intersection of the evolution of learning and new ways of learning and developing human potential to learn with the existential challenges of humanity.
Thank you,
Yes.
Carlos.
We are living a polycrisis, so our question is what we teach, what we learn is enough for facing polycrisis. This is the keyword change, polycrisis. We need an education and learning for the world of today, for building a better future, for facing these challenges.
Thank you, Mario, for your answer. We have also Montassar that is asking, how can educational institution in an era of increasing privatization and market drive priorities continue to offer and prioritize essential but less commercially demanded subjects such as ecological sustainability and gender equality, ensuring they remain integral to learning despite profitable pressure? So Montassar, we thank you for your question. I think that is very interesting, and we kindly advise to send us your abstract with your contribution, but maybe there is some of our speaker that would like to give an answer to Montassar. Thank you.
Mario, do you want to go?
We are interested in all competencies for building strategic thinking. So gender issues, social issues, all issues are helpful. But we need deal with these teams, with this team. We need, if contribution with papers, with chapters, will deal with the problem of bridging the human gap, as Carlos said, is fine for us. But the problem is the methodology, the approach of this contribution. So avoiding data, avoiding details, we have to look to the global situation, to the global challenge for educators, for institutions, for schools, university, also for adult education, because pay attention to adult education, not so only for childhood, but also adult. I think that most of people all the world are adults, so not only schools, not only university, but also other institutions are engaged, are involved, as media, social media, public bodies, families, parents, grandparents. So, we have ever something to learn, because we too have to learn, not only children. I think we have to educate also all people, but first and foremost, teachers, university professors. They are absolutely often ignorant about this human gap.
Thank you, Mario.
But let me just because I see many questions which are very different between each other, but have something in common, asking us, what is exactly the scope? Are you interested in this? Are you interested in that? We are interested in everything. The method we are using this here is the emergence. As I said, we want to highlight what is already happening, what has already been happening in some cases for decades. So we don't have a prescription. Oh, please speak only about this. Or do we prefer individual contributions or team contributions? We don't have a preference. We are not rigid at all, neither in the topic or nor on the on the format or the substance of the contribution. Actually, this project is a research project to find out what already exists, which could be part or something part of what we call transformative learning, and from what already exists, try to see what could happen in the future. So, for instance, Anitra, I see that you mentioned this program of participatory learning for small communities. Please share that. It fits completely with what we are willing to do. This is not about how could learning happen at the level of global multilateral institutions so that solutions are found. Because here I'm talking about from my personal conviction, changes has to happen on many different levels, and most probably the emergent level, what is usually called bottom up.
Yes.
Oh, Carlos, you phrase.
Participatory is another keyword. So we invite all people to build a local team, to
be
submit many entries, to organize themselves
also
for
small.
webinars, seminars, meetings all over the world, in all continents.
Okay, so
Do
now,
you agree, Carlos?
okay, thank you. So there are so many, I can see so many questions. I'll try to quick response to some very practical question. As Carlos said, you can find all the topics that related with this research on the concept note that you find the link on the chat that my colleague Nolita has just put it down. Regarding the deadline, there is an extension, and the extension of for the abstract is 17 April. So we invite you to join us to write, to send your abstract. There is no preference regarding individual or team contribution. So also in this case, we invite you to send your proposal of abstract that will be included in the final manuscript. Yes, I also would like to answer to Luv. Is the goal to learn how to navigate the poly and meta crisis? Yes, Luv. You will find everything in the call for in the concept note. Nolita, there is something that you want to add? I'm not following the chat webinar. There is something that you want to add?
Oh, I was highlighting the question from Julia with regards to what type of longer contribution are we looking for should the abstract be invited to submit one?
Okay, so as already was said, we are looking for a very wide range of contribution related to different kind of topics, but we also are open not only to academics, but also the reflection and from civil society, from practitioner, from teachers. So we invite you to submit your proposal of abstract, and if the abstract will fit with our consent note, we invite you to send the longer contribution to include in the manuscript.
Of course, there are a lot of questions. This is good. Of course, we collect all questions, and we will improve our answers. So we will provide better answers, more detailed answers on the websites or by emails. If we contact us throughout emails, throughout or WhatsApp, other ways.
I would like to answer also to Kranguta Lewa that he's asking, are pre-published materials acceptable? Yes, we both accept materials that are already published. So if did you have already published something that fits with this topic, please send us directly the longer contribution to our email. And also, if you have something that is not already published, send us also. We would like to also remind that selected contribution, selected chapter will be published in a full volume. And also, we would like to invite to submit proposal both for case studies, theoretical studies, and everything that can be interesting for this research project regarding a better future. Okay, I think it's all. I thank all the participants. I thank all the speakers and colleagues, and thank you for this for joining this first webinar. We already invite you to follow our next webinar that will be occurring during the 2025. Let's stay in touch. Thank you so much, and have a good day. Thank you.